So a couple videos back, we showed you how to change out your rear e-bike tire. At the end of that test drive, I made a startling realization.
So, but you know what?
What's that?
My brake pads. That's going to be the next video because my brake pads are terrible.
All right.
So today, we're going to show you how to quickly change out your brake pads so that you don't have to feel like you might be Evel Knievel trying to jump the Snake River Canyon.
Okay, so today we are going to replace the hydraulic brake pads on Lisa's e-bike. Now, this is a job that I've done several times over the last 3 years, and I have to admit that at first it was intimidating. So that's why we're making this video, to let you know that it's not as intimidating as it sounds or maybe looks. So let's go ahead and get started on that right now. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I need to take this number 5 hex wrench and take off these 2 little bolts here. Now, the most important thing with this is that when you take the stuff off, you got to know what order everything goes back on. So if you need to take a picture of it, go ahead and take a picture of this. I'm going to go ahead and loosen these guys up. And a lot of folks will take the bike and they will turn it upside down. And I did that a few times, but I found that doing it like this, that's just one less step. I'm going to get this off of here. There are a couple different things you have to watch out for here. I'm going to pull these bolts out. Make sure that your bolts are in a safe place. And I'm going to get this other guy out of here. By the way, these are Tektro brand brakes, but your brakes are probably pretty close to this if they are hydraulic brakes, and that's what we're doing today. So the procedure is pretty much going to be the same. All right, now this right here is the bolts that come out of there. You have to make note that one of these is just a little bit shorter than the other. I'm going to let this come apart. There's another part here, and then the brake pads or the brake caliper comes off. Okay, so now that we've got the caliper off of here, and all of the ladybugs are sticking to my head, but anyway, after we got this on here, you can see that there is this little cotter pin here. That's what holds the actual pads that are here inside of the caliper. All right, now one thing before we get started, once you take this caliper off of here or take these pads out of here, do not activate your brake up there. Do not do it. So that will squeeze your pistons together here and just leak out all of your hydraulic fluid. So you don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out this cotter pin here. Now the thing is that you can see here, this is going to be bent just a little bit, of course, or it would come out. So I'm going to go ahead and straighten that cotter pin back out and then grab it over here and just pull that sucker out. Just that easy. Now again, make sure that you keep that in a nice safe place. So now that we've got that, all we've got to do is pull these pads straight out this way. They won't come out this way because they only go one way. So let me go ahead and just take my finger. Most of the time my finger will just work enough. I can just put it in here and poke that guy through. And here comes my pads out. You can see that they're starting to protrude out there. I'll just grab them here and yank those guys out. So that's what we're looking at. We've got the pads, we got the pads off of here, and there are going to be 3 parts to this, as we're going to see when we start to put the pads back on. All right, so I just wanted to show you before I put the new pads on how this all works. These are the old pads. You can see that they were in, one side was in pretty bad condition. You can see this one was in pretty bad condition. This one was a little thicker. But anyway, it's a good, especially this time of the year, it's fall. It's a good time to go ahead and get it done so I don't have to do this in the middle of winter. All right, so there's 3 pieces. There is one side of the pad like this, the other side, and then there's a little spring clip that actually holds it together. So what I'm going to be doing here on the other one is I'm going to be slipping this one into here like that, and then this one, it will go exactly the same way but on this side. I'm doing this here so you can see exactly how I did it. All right, so that is the sandwich for which I have made, and I will make this with the new one and prepare that to slip inside of the calipers. All right, so now I've got the new clip into the, let me see if I can focus there. All right, we can see that. I've got the clip into, the pads into the clip, the new one. So I'm gonna go ahead and just reverse the process that I had before, where I'm gonna just slip these, the pads right back into the caliper. And you just line it up and squeeze that guy together. And now your pistons in here are gonna give you a little bit of resistance if they're out, like mine are, just a little bit. But you can probably squeeze it past there. And make sure that this clip still keeps even in there. That's gonna be probably the hardest part while you're trying to put it in there. And then you're gonna line it up with the holes here. I hope you can see that. And then I'm just gonna push it right on through. See that? Came right on in there. All right, now, as you can guess, now the next thing to do is to get this cotter pin to fit right back through this hole right here. So I'm gonna slip that in, which goes right through there. Work your way through. It's gotta get in there. And see, there's my cotter pin coming out the other side. Give that a little bend like it was before. Like that. Kind of be careful with this. I don't wanna, just because I'm trying to get my cotter pin bent over, I don't wanna mess up my caliper there. But anyway, got that part taken care of here. And the next thing I want to do is that you can see that my calipers here are pushing my new pads together. And that thickness there is going to be too little, or that gap there's going to be too little for me to get it onto my rotor. I said a little bit earlier that I need a tool here. This right here is a caliper spreader from Park Tool, and I will put a link in the description to this product where I bought it on Amazon. So it is a valuable tool. So this is what it does. So when your calipers are pushing your pads together, and you've got this nice sharp edge. I used to try to do it with a screwdriver and messed up my pads. That you can push in here and start to separate the calipers. Feels like you're gonna break something sometimes, but you just push it in there and just kind of work your way and get that gap. See, that gap's getting a little bit bigger. I don't know if you can see that. Work that guy down in there. Kind of back and forth and get that gap bigger. You can see I'm getting a little bit bigger at a time here. A little bit more. Kind of tough to do with a screwdriver. So, I mean, it's tough to do it with this tool, but it's really tough to do it with a screwdriver. And you mess up your brake pads. All right, it looks like to me I've got enough. So I think we'll go ahead and start putting it right back onto the bike. All right, so we need to go ahead and get this brake caliper put back onto the frame. And again, like I said, we have to make sure that we put things back in the same order that we took them off in. So I've got this little bracket here that needs to go on. That goes on first. And then I'll just kind of line those up. And I've got these gloves on so that I don't contaminate those pads or my rotor on there. They'll get squeaky if you do that. So I'm just gonna kind of line those up on there and get my bolt through it. Now on my brakes, the top bolt here is longer than the bottom bolt. So you gotta keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. All right, get that guy started. Grab my other bolt on the bottom. And like I said, folks, this is really a pretty easy procedure once you get over the initial intimidation of it. All right, let me find my wrench here. So I've lost my wrench. There it is. All right, and just tighten this guy up. Now, this is what I found to do. I don't want to tighten it all the way down. I want to get this guy so that it is very loose on here. So, as you can see, it still has room to move around, and that's kind of what I want. So now while I got it here like this, I'm going to just squeeze my brake pad here to kind of center it. All right. I'm just squeezing my brake pad and getting this to squeeze it. All right, and the next step here I will show you is when I start lining up my the pad with the rotor. All right, so now this next part is kind of the finicky part. Now, what goes on is, like I said, I've squeezed the brake up there while it's on here to kind of get it centered. And what you're going to run into is if you tighten it up in a certain position and it's crooked, then you're going to feel it rub, okay? So what I've done is I put this flashlight down here, and I'm not going to be able to show you on film the exact area because it's not dark enough out here to do it. But I've got this flashlight, and what I'm looking for is on the top of the caliper here, where the actually in here where the actually pads touch the rotor, there's a little space in between there, a little bitty space. Let me get out here on camera. A little space, and I can see light. Here's the rotor, for instance. Maybe we can get this lined up. Here's the pads on both sides. Here's the rotor. And what we're going to do is just make this as even as we can between here and then tighten everything up. That's what we're going to do right now. Get this guy on here. Give him a little twist. I think I got it lined up on there. It looks pretty good. And I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it up. I believe it's off a little bit on the bottom. Just like that. I'm gonna tighten that guy down. All right, and that's really it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do a test drive and make sure that everything is working the way that it is. I may have to make a couple adjustments, and if I do, then I'll tell you about those, and then we'll wrap this video up. As it turns out that I got it right. It usually doesn't work out like that. Lisa's out test driving right now and making sure everything is working for her. But I think it's going to be. I think I did a pretty good job. So anyway,
all right.
Well, here she comes
These
back.
feel
We'll
like they're pretty good. Hitting the brakes. Feels safe again.
Here she comes. What are you saying?
Feels like it's safe again to ride my bike again.
There you go.
Getting a little scared there for a while.
Yeah. So, everything working for you?
I think so. I think everything is great. In fact, I just jumped off my bike, hit those brakes, and it was almost too much, so it's great.
On the front there, you got the Indo going.
Yes,
there.
I do.
Okay, cool. All right, so guys, it's really a procedure that you can actually do. It's just one of those kind of things. I really just didn't know at first what it entailed, so I thought I would do this video and make sure that if you're kind of on the fence on trying to do it, right, then know that it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it really isn't.
A very, just a very simple amount of tools. That one park tool, that's a good one to get. That would be a good one. Yeah, that would be the thing to spend the money on. Yeah, make sure that if you get that tool, or if you're having problems with it, get that tool, because it's one of those kind of things where a screwdriver is just going to wreck your pads. You're going to buy new pads, and just a one-time purchase on that. I think it was like $15 or something like that at the most. It wasn't expensive. But it really helps out the process. I've been doing it with that tool for the last maybe 3 months now. Yeah, so actually it's good. I changed out my brakes, and I just now changed out all of Lisa's. Right. So anyway, if you have found value in this video, then what you should do is you should like, subscribe, and as always, get your butt outside.